The Radium Podcast, episode 51. Back in action, KDE on the beat.
Yeah, we made it. We're past the 50
made it.
mark. I've been saying this every damn episode, but now we're, 52 is a year, so we're one away from doing a year full. So.
We're just going to do this at the beginning of every episode. It's going to go, yeah.
And then when we get over
64.
here, we're like, we're a year and a week. Sick.
We did it. 126 episodes. You know what I mean? We'll just say how many episodes every time, and we'll talk about it.
No, we're dropping some knowledge today, and we drop knowledge every day. Mostly me.
Mostly Kevin. Yeah, 100%. So today I've been getting a lot of questions, comments, whatever, in my DM about people, artists, producers, whoever you are, getting into music and wanting to know, hey man, what do you think? Should I quit my day job, my 9-to-5, and just pursue music 100% and go all in? You know, that's the idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, should I go all in? What do you think, Kev? Should I go all in?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Don't be crazy. No.
No, you kind of have to be crazy to, really do this. You have to really think. But I think the way you do it is very important. I don't think it's just about doing it and going all in. I think the way you go all in, having a plan, strategy. Strategy is like the hardest thing for certain people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Strategy is hard.
We struggle with strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it has to do with organization. You know what I mean? And when you're a creative, I think you constantly are thinking about creating. You're not thinking about cleaning up after yourself. You're not thinking about, I need to label my files correctly. You're like, I want to make, create, you know?
Yeah.
I want to throw the paint at the wall. I want to make messes. I want to throw drums down. I want to, get ideas down and keep going. And, unfortunately, that doesn't really work with life. It works, I think, to an extent. Actions, right?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I think when you're actually in business for music, you start to see that the business is more important than the music.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah,
we have to just cut to the chase that if you want to make a living in music, you have to operate as business.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my outlook on this question, if I'm going to really go back to, the last 20 years of my life and being in music and being obsessed with it and then going to school and getting a degree in sound and doing, all the steps I went through.
Yeah.
I think the way I would break it down is I would say there's like the prerequisite of you need to be talented. If you're not talented, you can't make music at a certain quality to the point where the production, the writing, even the mixing and mastering nowadays, because that's what you're competing against. Mm-hmm. If you're not at a certain level, then you haven't even hit the prerequisites.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even think about quitting my day job. Have you made any money? These are questions I would be asking myself. Like if I truly was like, man, should I quit my day job and go all in on music? I would ask myself, have I made enough money off my music, off my art, and off my talent to actually pay just my base necessity bills?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, even with my 9-to-5, have I done it?
Yeah.
That would be like the first question, because I think if you look at that and you've tried, right? You're trying to sell your music. You're asking, should I go all in? You've tried to sell your music. You've released stuff. You're putting out music. You're promoting your music, but you're not making a living off of it right now in any sense. Maybe even not even 20% of your bills are being covered by it. Then you have no proof that it would even work.
This is a deep topic.
It's a deep topic because it has a lot to do with entrepreneurship, right?
So I could go really deep, really fast, but I think we got to peel back the layers of this onion.
Yeah.
Right? So what's the outermost layer? Getting finances covered, right?
Sure. Or like
you can't live unless you have your finances figured out.
100%.
That's basic human.
Yep. It's the Hollywood dream thing right there, right? A guy moves to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. He's a big fish in his small town in Idaho, right? He's a dope songwriter, plays acoustic guitar. All his friends tell him he's awesome. He moves to Hollywood with $1,000 in his account and his guitar strapped on his back. And we see it all the time. It's right up the street from us, Hollywood Boulevard. And if you move here you're going to play guitar and you're going to show your skills around town or whatever, and you're going to talk to people and you're going to make it. And that's like the biggest fallacy anyone could ever believe. And Hollywood sells that dream through TV, commercials, movies. What was that latest movie with they just won, I think, an Oscar for the song or a Grammy.
You talking about A Star Is Born?
Yeah, A Star
Lady
Is
Gaga
Born.
and
like
Bradley
watch
Cooper?
that movie. Have you seen that movie?
No.
Oh, dude, you watch that movie and that is like literally selling the Hollywood dream. It's like this girl, she's working at a restaurant. She's a waitress, and like Bradley Cooper's this like super dope, legendary rock star, right? Mm-hmm. And he just got done with this big show, this big festival. For all you guys that have seen this before, sorry about this, but he's like playing the show and then he's an alcoholic. So he's driving away from the show with his driver. And he's like looking for alcohol, more alcohol, right? Mm-hmm. And he just happens to go into this bar, right?
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga just happens to be doing an open mic night. And he just happens to discover her, And then literally it's like within like a few scenes, she's on stage. Born. Yeah. She's on stage with him. And, and this is like what Hollywood sells everybody through movies. Like the real truth is if that actually happened, Lady Gaga's character is not really ready for a big stage. Mm-hmm. She would fall on her fucking face. But in the movie, it's like, bam, she hits a single. She's huge. She goes to the recording studio. She's massive. She's gotten bigger hits. She's got billboards all over. She's the star,
Let's put it like this. Okay, so that does happen, Brad. But the percentage and likelihood of that happening is
less than the lottery.
Yeah, it's less than 1%. It's a percent of a percent.
And those people, like, this is why we're talking about this, because in that movie, she has her 9 to 5, or her night job or whatever, and then she goes and does open mics, and she's like, I want to pursue my music career kind of on the side, right? There's never a question of like, should I go all in? She just gets discovered, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important to make sure, yes, have dreams, have goals, go all after them, right? Mm-hmm. But dude, like an entrepreneur, the definition of entrepreneurship is you're putting up your own money, your own resources, your own time as a risk, but it's a calculated risk. Mm-hmm. You have connections. You've done it before. You've made money in music and being a lawyer, whatever you're going to be going after, right? Mm-hmm. You have the proof. You've done the thing and you've made money doing it. You know how to do it. You know the process. And now you're going to go take a calculated risk. Now, if you're a kid in Idaho, Nebraska, in California, wherever you're at, and you're making music in your parents' room or whatever, or in your apartment, and you're working a 9 to 5, and you don't have proof that you can make money with your music, not even like half the amount to support yourself, then it's a massive risk. It's just how it is. You're taking a massive risk, and probably an unnecessary risk.
This could easily branch off into a million things, but I think if we're going to branch off once, it should be how do you make money as an artist?
Yeah. How do you actually make money and get started, right?
Yeah. So typically artists have backers, right? Let's be honest. There's people who put up the money for an artist. It is very, very expensive to be an artist.
Mom and dad.
No, a lot of times, yes, it's mom and dad. A lot of times it's the rich homie.
Yeah.
You know.
That sells drugs.
Exactly. So.
Call it what it is. That's what we do on the Radium Podcast, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to fucking sugarcoat this shit. It's like guys selling drugs and then they go, you're a rapper. Here's some money. Let's make a album, right?
Yeah, I want to manage you or I want to represent you or, something. That's why there's a lot of managers who are putting up money for the artists and, those...
or we call them investors in the industry.
Yeah, there's any number of things, but basically what it comes down to is I think you have to A, create a business model, step one, and then B, understand, to even create the business model, step two is to figure out how do you make money as an artist. Right. And the truth is money is getting better on Spotify streams and that, but it's still not going to cover costs.
No. Yeah, Spotify's already starting to battle back and basically say, no, writers are not going to get 40% or whatever they're asking for.
Yeah.
So they're countersuing. So it's like, you guys look, whoever has the most money and the most power and the most distribution is king, not content. Go and make 1 million songs. It doesn't mean anything. If you get 1 million songs, one song that's even pretty decent, distributed very well, and getting shout outs and Instagram influencers and the right distribution platforms, then you're going to see more success than most 99% of artists that have tons of albums and work out there.
Okay, so back to how you make money, and this is really important. The major ways artists make money is through co-branding and, doing things like club appearances, shows, merch and appearances and co-branding, selling product of other things. You could, wear someone's shoes and get paid, becoming an influencer. So that's how most artists make money. It's not from their record label sales, and it's not from anything else. So in order to make money in music, you have to be popular to a certain extent.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's all
and I'm talking about in 2019. I'm not talking about in 1992.
Yeah. 96, at the peak of it all.
So in 2019, the only way to make money as an artist is to be popular. That's why you see the popular artists winning, even if they are not as talented.
Oh, for sure.
Because they have a business model already.
Yeah, you have the blue face, and you got the, whoever's popping right now, whoever's
Catch Me
popular,
Outside Girl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She has a working business model because she is popular, and they're able to sell things to fans or to other, companies, essentially.
What was that? Damn Daniel.
Yeah.
Remember that kid?
Is he rapping too?
No, I'm just saying, like, this is the whole point, though.
Yeah.
Like, that kid, if he went into music, he would be more popular and making way more money than most people trying to get into music right now.
Yeah.
Just because he has a following and he's popular. Because this shit went viral and things got popping for him.
Because he has an audience. So you have to audience build. And that could take...
That's what the labels care about. It's what anyone cares about.
The audience build process. And this goes for if you want to be a YouTuber, too. So the audience build process, that is anywhere from a 2 to 5 year process.
I think you could do it in a year if you hustle your shit off. Like, you really go in.
Yes, that could happen in a year, but that's going back to the luck thing. You're
right.
Like, depending on luck.
You're playing off luck, but you also have to, like I was saying at the very beginning of the podcast, it's very important that you've already hit the prerequisites. You're talented.
Yeah.
You're interesting. You've done music long enough to know how to make a record.
You have to be talented to an extent, like I said.
Exactly.
If Catch Me Outside Girl can do it, and a lot of other YouTubers who are not musically inclined, I would say,
for sure,
have a working business model, then you can too. I don't want to talent is like one of the lower of the prerequisites now. I say
right, but
which is why I'm not even mentioning it.
Right, but here's the thing: like I understand where you're saying, look, you got to have an audience, but that is so much based on luck. Way more than getting talent together, having a plan, mapping it out, and then starting a release strategy, consistency for a year, and blasting stuff and getting your content, your brand done. Like, Cash Me Outside, dude, you just said something ridiculous and you turned into a meme on
viral, yeah, viral star.
That's almost 100% luck.
But check this out. She didn't just like A to B. She didn't just get a record deal off of, becoming a viral meme. She kept a fan base. So from there, she was able to maintain a fan base, keep people interested past the original meme. There's so many people who were memes.
Music is that platform.
Yeah.
It's for most people. Nowadays, music is so secondary to being popular, to being a meme, to having an audience. If you have an audience, you can be a musician.
Yes.
Because someone will put you in a recording studio and you're interesting and you have people looking at you. That's it. So I truly believe that's 2019.
This is the 2019 business model. You have to have an audience. It doesn't have to be in the millions. It could be in even, what we talked about, Brad, 1,000 people? Or no, you said 40? No, yeah, you said 100 people at... What would you say on the last podcast?
No, 1,000 loyal fans for
1,000 loyal fans? Okay, so
that's been around for decades.
I forget who originally said that. I was just trying to get what you said.
A very, very old dead guy.
Yeah, so
I don't know his name off the top.
But back to that whole idea. That's what you need. Like I said, it doesn't take, you don't have to have a million. A million would be great, but from a starting standpoint of quitting your job, You probably need somewhere in that range, right around 1,000 people who care about what you do.
Yeah. And I think it's really important to set goals and targets. Like, think about this. If you live with your parents and you plan on living with your parents for another 3 years and you're 18 years old and you're like, should I quit my 9 to 5 to pursue music? And you're making like 10 grand a year making music. Yeah. Quit your job, dude. Of course. Go all in on the music. If your parents are cool with it, right? Like, you got 3 years, just go all music, build that 10 grand to 20 to 30, get 30 to 40 grand together. If you're in Idaho, I'm sure you can get an apartment on your own for that much and pay your living, no big deal. But like, if you're 38 years old, you got a family and you got to take care of people. Like, should I quit my job to go all in on music? I don't make any money off my music. I jam in my basement, whatever it is. No. Don't. For the sake of your family.
So back to breaking this down. First, you have to, like Brad said, hit the prerequisites. You got to be at least somewhat good.
Yeah.
And then
or have an audience.
No, but that's number two. Number two, you got to. That's only one way. You have to establish your income stream.
Yeah.
Which is you either get the homie with drugs.
Yeah.
Or you have an audience which you can sell to.
Yep.
And then that'll determine whether you can quit and do music full time.
Yep.
The next thing,
these are all just options, really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you have to establish your income stream. I'm sorry.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's number one. Like, if you can't pay for food, you're not going to be thinking about making music. If you can't pay your rent and you can't do certain things, like just take care of yourself, like not anyone else, just yourself, then you're not going to be thinking about making great music and running a brand and establishing a music business. And I think, that can be a driving factor if you're playing it smart as an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. You're balancing the risk. You're like, I've been doing this for 5 years, getting paid pretty well for someone else. I think I can probably start doing this on my own. Yeah, sure. Maybe you got the connections, the network, and you're talented and you've done it.
Yeah. I think next thing is probably more what you said, which is establish your plan, your growth factor, how are you going to make this, because you shouldn't quit something if you're not growing, you know what I mean?
Right.
The idea of you quitting is so that will grow, you know what I mean? And you have to establish what you're going to do now that you're full-time doing it.
Right.
Like, more songs may not equal more money.
No.
You know what I mean?
Actually, it typically, it doesn't.
Yeah.
There's no, you have to understand the analytics. You have to be into the analytics. People don't understand. Artists don't understand. I won't say people, but I'll say artists are really bad at analytics and understanding why they're so important. That is the fundamental thing. If your videos or your songs get put out and the organic reach keeps going down, you're not doing well. You need to change something. If you think that you just need to be putting out more and more music, but the numbers aren't going up, those are analytics. It's very important. Like, a business will look at that. How much a business is worth, how do they figure that out? They figure out the growth over year, right? So they look at the first 2, 3, 4 years of the business and they go, okay, let's look at these factors. Are they all growing? It doesn't cost as much to acquire a client, over the last 3 years. We can predict that next year and in the next 5 years, we're going to hit these marks. That's how they say, hey, how much is your business worth? How much would I give you for your business? So you think like that as an artist and you go, how much am I worth as an artist? Why would a label give me money? Do they think I would be able to recoup the pub deal in 3 years, a distro deal in 5 years, whatever it is, right? That's that loan. And who's going to believe in me and how's that going to work? How's the return going to happen? That's what these labels will look at. That's what the deals will look at. And that's how you're going to get, further reach, all that stuff if you don't want to be independent forever.
Yeah. And this applies to beat makers as well as artists.
For sure.
So audience building, you should really be measuring your audience,
100%.
And that will measure your revenue. Like, how are you selling to your audience? That the how part is what step 2 was, is how you generate revenue, and then how much is your audience, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm gonna give everyone like a super dope thing you can do right now, today. Like something you can actually just apply right now. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's a producer, and he's doing really well with Instagram and stuff, and he's making some moves with it, and he's getting some momentum going. And I said, what is like your main focus right now? He said, okay, here's what I'm doing. I am looking at who engages with my stuff, my posts, my music, DMing me, looking at my lives, viewing, asking me questions the most. And I'm making a spreadsheet of those IG handles and those people. And then I am nurturing those people. And I'm putting most attention on those people. I'm hitting them up. I'm making sure I'm giving them content they like, and I'm nurturing that audience, but I'm making sure that I have a list of exactly who those people are. Same thing as analytics in a business, right? If I have 10 returning clients, I take care of them. They give me referrals. The business grows, right? If I have 5 clients and I do something with them and then I'm like, cool, thanks for the money, peace. And then I go looking for 5 more new clients. Whoa, you're playing a really backwards game with business building. And I think the same thing with fan base building as an artist. So as an artist, look at your Facebook, look at your Instagram, who's fucking with you, go all in on them, triple down on them. What do you guys want to see? What questions can I answer? Do you want me to do a video like this? Ask them. Don't ask everybody. Ask them. Focus on those clients. They're the ones that are going to tell their friends.
Yeah.
They're your loyal fan base. That's what you should be building and nurturing.
Yeah. And if we're going to veer off one more time,
of course,
really back to strategy is you have to establish where your audience is. I think that's what a lot of people do not understand.
Super important.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn that from any of these social media marketing geniuses, you know?
I mean, I can tell you right now, if you're a producer, majority of your audience is either going to be on Instagram or YouTube. Primarily YouTube. Producers are bigger on YouTube than we are in basically like Instagram. There's of course beat makers, making the beat videos, but if you see the analytics on producers on YouTube, tutorials, the like videos, these are where producers really live on longer form content, you know what I mean, than a minute video on Instagram. And like I said, that if you're a producer, you have to focus that area. You have to go to where you got to fish where the fishes are, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think there's this weird, like, you remember when Snapchat and dude, it's already like, oh, we got Twitter, got Facebook, got Snapchat, got to be on Instagram. We're running business. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm like talking to producers and all sorts of people on LinkedIn. I only focus on 2 places. Like literally, I'm on Instagram and I'm on LinkedIn. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's like LinkedIn is where Facebook was like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So the reach is awesome organically. If you make a comment on someone's stuff, they're a big film director, producer, music supervisor. I'm like, you can talk to them, right? And you can add value to what they're doing, and they're instantly seeing your comments and they're going and checking you out. Instagram is like flooded, oversaturated, insane. The algorithm's changing all the time. You have to pay to get your stuff in front of people. If you don't believe that, turn your account into a business account just for a month and look at the analytics, look at the insights. You're going to see nobody fucks with you. You thought people were fucking with you. Nobody fucks with you. You're using hashtags. Bots are going and liking the hashtags. So paid promotion on Instagram is the only way to reach people, unless there's people that you've established over time that are constantly liking and seeing your stuff. Then Instagram will actually feed them more of your stuff. Instagram curates to what you like. If Kevin clicks on my stuff, he watches my videos, the next thing I put out is going to be put in front of Kevin. From me before other people, because Kevin fucks with me. Now, Instagram is... No, I'm just kidding. Well, right? That's questionable. So, but Instagram is rolling this out so that influencers, people that truly are influencer, that people are actually messing with and like watching their stuff, they're losing a lot of reach. Like, people used to think like, oh, you got 1 million people following you, that means every time you post, everyone's checking you out. And no, that's not true. It's the 20,000 people that really mess with that influencer with 1 million views or 1 million followers. Those 20,000 people are getting fed their stuff all the time. unless they're promoting. If you promote, then Instagram will push it in front of the audience that you're targeting.
Yeah.
Right? So, couple little hacks here, because we are talking about building a business in music and as an artist trying to make a living, because that's the most important thing, is like make a living with your music, with your art, with your business. Couple hacks. Instagram, turn yourself into a business when you've had like 5,000 real organic followers, not bots, right? At least at 5,000, turn your thing into a business account. The reason you don't want to turn it into a business account before then is because it will limit your reach. Instagram looks at your business account and it says, you're a business, limit that reach. What do they call it? Shadow ban, whatever, right? They're going to not show as much of your stuff organically because you're a business. They want you to pay for the ads. It's duh. They want you to buy a product. It's obvious, right? So get to a certain point where you do have organic people that you're reaching already and they're already messing with your content. And then I'd say like 5,000 to 10,000 people following you, then you're probably pretty good to switch over to a business and be ready to spend money on ads just to boost posts and stuff. Second thing, once your business account, go into your actual ad account, and when you boost a post and you say, I want to just automatically have Instagram promote automatically, that reach is going to be way smaller, right? Than like making a targeted, Los Angeles, New York, Nashville music producers or rappers in Atlanta and da-da-da. Instead of like targeting, just use the automatic thing. Because the truth is, what that's going to do is it's going to feed and nurture your audience that you already have, and people like it. So Instagram automatically makes like lookalike audiences like Facebook would make. And then it goes and it promotes and goes, hey, there's people, they have so many data points. There's people just like you're following, the people that mess with you. We're going to go find those people. We're going to promote to them. It costs a lot more money, less reach, but it's to the people that already mess with you. And this is why it's so important to feed and nurture the people that follow you and then mess with your business already, because that is your culture and you want to build that. You don't want to go like, I have 5-10 people screwing with me, right? Oh, I better go to Brazil and see if people like my music. It makes no sense, right? You want to talk to these 5 people and their friends that like the same things that they like.
Yeah.
So there's some hacks. I don't know. Hopefully that's useful.
I could just go over all the stuff that I told, other artists and stuff, but we'll get to that in a second. Let's play devil's advocate. Why should you wait to quit your job?
Why should you wait to quit your job? Because you can
go music full time.
Because you can do both.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, look, dude. Most artists out there, let's just call it what it is. Kids that want to get into music, that like music, right? They just want to make music.
We say kids a lot. Let's not call everybody kids.
Right. Well, no, I mean, people. No, I'm saying like truly, like the people that are going, hey, I don't know if I should quit my job or not to go full time into music. Music's a young game. They're typically kids. It's teenagers and people in their 20s. That's. I mean, if you're gonna live till 80,
it just depends on what you're doing. I guess composing, it's you can get into composing.
Sure, yeah. If you get into composing full time or whatever.
Yeah.
So people that want to get into this stuff and they're like, should I quit my job or whatever? Like, should I quit my job? Should I quit my job? Well, look at what you're doing right now. Do you get done with work and go home and watch Netflix? Like, what are you doing in your spare time? It's so telling of what people really care about when you just look at what they do outside of work. I'm at work, I'm doing my thing, I'm doing work. And then, I have this music career thing I want to do. Should I quit my full-time job? Let's break it down. You got 24 hours in a day. Even if you got 8 hours of sleep a day, what are you doing with all those hours? If you're working 40 hours a week at a job, full-time, 9 to 5, you still have hundreds of hours. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you doing with those 100 hours?
What's the stats? So if you're an entrepreneur and you work part-time on your own business and, have a job full-time, I think you have anywhere from 3 to 5 hours beyond a full-time job. You know what I mean? 3, I think, is just the base. You know what I mean? Between like getting up, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, going to sleep. You know what I mean? So that's the average. And then if you work full-time, if you're a full-time entrepreneur, I think the average is around 8 to 10 hours to work on your business every day.
Well, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week is 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
And if you're working full time, that's full time, dude.
Yeah.
That leaves you weekends, which is, dude, that's 48 hours minus sleep. Or not 48 hours, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is 48 hours, right? 48 hours, that's the math, right? Okay, so you got 48 hours on Saturday and Sunday. Get rid of your sleep, take 16 off that. You still got 30-something hours. What are you doing? Oh, dude, I sleep in and then I go party and I fuck around. Yeah, okay, you really want to do music full-time. You want to quit your job? It doesn't sound like to me you want to quit your job to do music full-time. It sounds like to me you don't like your job. Get a job you like. Like, I don't understand that mentality. It's like, and you know, we were talking about this earlier, Will and I, behind the camera, Will from Brazil, shouts. We were talking about this earlier. It's like, dude, you can go do Postmates, you can go do Uber, you can go do Lyft, and you can make good money doing those things on the side. You know, you can make $2,000-$4,000 a month doing that, and not even full time. So what's the problem? Like, you know, you want to do music full time, but do you? Or do you want to get in the studio, smoke weed, get drunk with your friends and party? Like, there's a big difference. And I think if you're really serious about your music career, you're investing in it, you're spending the time in the studio making records, you're getting the best product you can. And yeah, you're having some fun, of course, right? But it's like, dude, you're asking if you want, or you should quit your job to do this full time. What does full time look like to you is what my question is.
Yeah. I mean, being self-accountable is like probably the most important part of this is like, how do you spend your time? Because if you have 3 hours and you're focused and you do focused work in 3 hours, you could do more than what someone does 8 hours of working. You know what I mean?
Amen. Right there, dude. That's the point. I've written commercials. I've written like 3 demos on one commercial and one, you know, a $40,000 commercial in 3 hours. Right? So what's stopping you from doing that? Like, what is stopping people from going, I'm going to do focused work. I'm going to make 8 beats right now. They're all going to be amazing. You know, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to try my hardest. I'm going to focus for 3 hours. I'm going to sit down for 2 hours. You know, it's like the mentality is the music industry is so different from all the other industries. And in some regards, I can agree with that. But in most regards, I would say you don't know what you're talking about. It is work to come in, make connections, people that actually have budgets that want to pay for the music. They have to have a place for the music that is monetized. Nobody wants to work with you for any money unless they have a commercial, a label record, right? That has a budget that's going to make money. You know, it's not just, yo, we all cook up, bro, and you get placements and then you're famous and you make a ton of money. Even placements don't pay very much money.
They don't pay at all.
Right? So
they cover basic overhead needs, you know what I mean?
We were talking about this the other day too. Yeah. What's the typical publishing that someone's going to take home as a producer on a major label project? On a song?
Anywhere from 10 to 13%.
10 to 13%.
That's pub, that's separate from writing, so... Writing, I mean, that just depends on...
You're negotiating.
Now we're getting into a deep topic again. But
think about that. Yeah. That is so important for every new artist and producer coming in to understand. You don't go pitch records to fucking Beyonce and keep anything. You do it for the opportunity. And you leverage that to get clients to pay you for those things up front.
Yeah. Let's... I mean, we had Blue Magic Beat Co. on...
Yeah, legendary. He's doing it.
The cool thing is he dropped some knowledge, but you know, to even dive more into beat making, like the business model, you have to understand about the business model of everyone that is running business and doing this full time.
They're really doing business.
Yeah.
They have their fan base. They have their loyal customers that they serve over and over again.
Daily. You know what I mean? So the cool thing is a lot of these producers, the beat sales have gone down. Beat sales have gone down. That's just, you know, the market has increased. It's saturated.
It's free. Beats are free everywhere.
Yeah. So what's happening is a lot of producers are making the most of their money selling to other producers.
Yeah.
Which is
100%.
Kits, collabs, you know, loops, presets for VSTs, all that. So producers are making money off of other producers.
Yes.
And so, what, you know, some of the biggest guys we were talking about, internet money, You know what I mean?
Sell the dream.
They're basically getting placements at this point. They're not even selling beats. They're getting placements and then leveraging that to sell kits on their beat site. And that's 100%. How they're making majority of their money. It's not on the placement.
Because Oz can put out a kit now and he can make tens of thousands of dollars within a week.
Yeah.
And look, dude, here's the thing. You're selling the dream. And as a producer, people think like, oh, I'm going to make beats and then I'm going to sell beats. Well,
I think it's OZ.
OZ, sure. Oz for me. Oz is more fun for me. Yeah. So, the biggest thing that I see is producer starts to get somewhat established, let's say even just influencer status on Instagram. Not even like, oh, I'm a dope producer, I'm a big time guy. I just established myself on Instagram and BeatStars maybe, right? Something. You got some sort of platform. You have a baseline 100 people that you serve over and over again, artists and stuff. At a certain point, those guys are making 60 grand a year, let's say, right? And they're kids. They don't have overhead expenses. Maybe they have an apartment in Portland, Oregon or LA, and they're paying apartment costs like $1,000 a month or something, right? So they got 60 grand a year. How do they get to six figures? They don't sell more beats. They don't make more placements. No. They sell a class course, production, whatever, to wannabe producers, kids in bedrooms that want to make $100. I just want to sell a beat, dude. I'm going to show you how to make your first $100 off beat sales. If I can show him how to make $100 off beat sales, it's worth more than $100, right? Because for him, like, he's been making beats and he's been trying to sell beats. But if I could go, yo, dude, let me show you how to sell a beat. And he sells a beat, it builds the confidence, it keeps the momentum going, and you are now a producer. You've sold a beat, right? You've sold music, you've made money in music, in the music industry is what we'll call it. But I don't think that that's the music industry. I think it's a totally different industry now, and I think it'll piece off even more. But
what are you selling beats?
Selling beats is online. Selling beats is not necessarily the music industry. I think there's a very, very thick line that divides that and what that means.
It is becoming the model of the music industry now.
It is becoming a model in the music industry, but it's like a side
When labels are starting to sell beats, that's when I know it's becoming a model. So just mark my words. I won't put out, but labels are starting to own beat stores and start to sell products like kits and loops.
I equate it to like McDonald's. They sold cheeseburgers and hamburgers, right? And then when they finally figured out that they could sell soft serve ice cream, that's what the beats are. That's online beat sales. But it's like the soda fountain. I don't at the restaurant.
Labels have been figuring out how to make money in different ways ever since the crash, the economic boom in 2008. They've been trying to figure out, okay, so we can start taking from merch. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised that they would go and try to own online beat stores and put money behind that stuff.
It's smart
because it earns. You know what I mean?
It's smart.
It earns.
And like, who's the guinea pig and who's paying the money to test that market?
Yeah,
all these kids that everybody that pays for an account on BeatStars or whatever else.
Yeah, not to keep on the producer thing, with artists too, I think like it's really important to understand. You have to understand the market. Like I said, you can't. 100%. You're gonna quit your job and run into the market. You know what I mean? Even if you are making a little money, you have to understand like what is the trend and where are things going.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, who's your client?
If you're so worried about getting a Spotify playlist, and if Apple Music's crushing it, and you really need to be working on your Apple Music, you know what I mean?
Right. I think a lot of this business spawns ego stuff, right? Yeah. It's like, I want to show people what I can do because I want to prove it to people. I want to get a placement. Doesn't pay me anything, but I want to get a placement because I want to be known as the guy that produced for someone, I want to put a credit on my name and it makes me feel better and I got an ego about it. And that's a very egocentric way of thinking. It's very myopic and it won't do much for you nowadays in the music industry. Unless you have some sort of established brand and you're able to leverage it correctly. And I think that that's really important, positioning yourself to be able to leverage a placement. I mean, how many kids do you know, like on records, like tons of major records, and nobody knows who the fuck they are?
Yeah.
And they're not making any money.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, it's about leveraging selling kits, if you're making placements, that's an income stream. That's what I'm saying with step 2. Define your income stream.
Right.
How are you going to make money? If you're an artist, same thing goes here. You may not, your income stream might not be the music. Your leverage is going to be the t-shirt, the hoodie that sells for $40-$50. Right. You know what I mean? Or the deluxe version of your album, the vinyl that sells for, $30-$40, and not the actual iTunes sale of, $10.
Yeah.
So,
and I hope people that are listening to this right now are taking notes. Because here's another thing that I talk to artists about all the time, especially when they come to me and they're like, yo, mixing and mastering, why should I mix and master my record with you,
Mm-hmm.
Why should I get production? Why would I buy beats, all this stuff, right? And I'm like, listen, because here's how it works. If you put a product out there that is better than 90% of artists going out right now, because you just put a little money behind it to make the product better,
mm-hmm.
then you have a product that is way better than 80-90% of artists that are dropping records on their own, mixing and mastering, producing themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Already you're standing out like crazy. Now, take that, leverage it, and charge people to do featers.
Yeah, you could do it that way too.
Dude, so many rappers I know.
They're like,
features, $200.
I highly recommend, because here's what it comes down to. I always recommend to artists that talk to me to not hand out crazy features. And to be really,
it depends on where they're at.
Yeah. But to make features into a business model, you could do it, but I don't think it'd be a long lasting one.
No, but I think it's smart when you're starting out.
Yeah,
you need to leverage so you can make some money, so you can put more money into your
exactly.
product.
There's never bad reason to do feature for money.
Amen.
But
and same thing with collabs for producers. I think paid collabs is smart.
Yeah, but what you were saying, which is really more important, is why would you pay for mixing beats, things of a higher tier? You know what I mean? Why would I need to have a label quality mix? Well, the reason is it's just like selling T-shirts. It's like, why does Louis Vuitton, sell a T-shirt for $100, and you can buy a T-shirt from Walgreens for $5? Yeah. You know what I mean? It's because they've put the value of the brand in there, and so people think the actual value is worth more. You know what I mean? The resale is worth more.
Perceived value.
It's perceived value. Now, if your brand is $5 T-shirts, you know what I mean, at Walgreens or Target or whatever, then you can have multiple business models, but your sales have to be the equivalent to the Walgreens or Target, because they're all over the United States.
Right, you're competing against a very bloody ocean, if you will.
Yeah, so you have to do high number of sales, or you can try to increase your perceived value of your product, and then and have people pay more, or think of something of a higher tier. You know what I mean? It's like putting, I don't want to say a facade, but it's like making people think that the value of your product is better, and a lot of that goes hand in hand. If your product sounds much better and it looks higher quality, then people are more likely, you know what I mean, to show their friends, to pass it off.
They're proud to show them.
If your song plays on a Spotify playlist next to Kanye's, and it's just as loud, just as clear, and the beats are just as good, they're as fresh, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because music changes up quick. The beats that I made 2-3 years ago are not as fresh, you know what I mean? Like the cycles are very quick. So back to what I'm saying, if your product is higher quality and is sitting next to someone, and you want to get on these playlists, everyone asks me, how do I get on the playlist, all this type of stuff. If your song is on that playlist and it's just as the same quality, then the perceived value to the audience is like, oh, this guy is big time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm going to show my friends, he's on this Spotify playlist.
It's not even just your friends. It's the people that curate those playlists.
Yeah, exactly.
So those people picking the music, Pandora, Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, they're not going to go throw some random this is a terrible mix, SoundCloud rapper thing on there. But they would consider, if they came across something of just as high production value mix and master as any of these other records they fuck with, they're gonna go, oh, who's this? And they might feel like they discovered someone new that's really dope, because then they don't have to look past all the inconsistencies with the product. They don't have to be like, oh, yo, these are fake Yeezys, or like, those are Keds, whatever, like if we're talking shoes, like you have to get to the point where someone can see the art for what the art is, as opposed to like, I can't see what you're trying to convey here because the colors are just all smeared and smudged together and I don't really understand what you were going for.
Yeah.
I think that's super important.
And back to what I was saying, your art has to be to a certain level, but a lot of the times when I'm working with artists, like I'll tell them like, yo, I think we should bring a writer in,
right?
Someone, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Because
let's recut this.
Yeah, like at the core, the product has to be not just competing, but it has to like, has to run with the best, special, but it has to be better than, you have to be better than Drake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to play at that level at where they're playing at, and you want an audience build on that level, you have to compete with the highest. And
100%.
that's a hard thing to do. That's why we were back to stage number 2. You know what I mean? Like you got to have the homie with the drugs, because you know what I mean, to do a project. You know what I mean, or to have the X, Y, and Z that is of quality. You know what I mean? Next to Drake and, whoever you want to throw up on there, right. It's going to take money and it's going to take a lot of time and, a high quality product. So,
yeah, 100%.
But back to making, doing music full time, that's what it's going to take. You're going to have to audience build and you're going to have to compete in a marketplace, a very crowded marketplace.
Yeah.
Like, you
got to stand out. It's super important.
I always joke about this, but, working in music, there's a lot of, I talk to people who are not in the music business, and it's always, the funny story of like, oh, my friend raps, or my cousin makes beats.
Oh, my cousin's a singer. You guys should
you guys should do stuff. But like, people don't understand, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we get this all the time. There's a lot of people,
right.
Who come into music and don't understand that, like, yo, like we have to separate this.
It's like, a business. It's a business. It's truly a skill set business that, software management, production, quality checking processes, editing. It's people, client services. It's not, dude, we just make music, bruh. And if you want to do that, dude, I love music, so I make music for fun. I make music that I'll never sell. I'll never sell it. It's not even for sale, right? And I get that. I understand it. But if we're talking about getting into the music business and the music industry and paying your bills and quitting your full-time job or your part-time job to go all in on music, it's much more than I'm going to make music in my room or we're going to make records. Just much more than that. And I think if artists can get their head around that, it's a lot of sales. It's a lot of like going up to people and like, yo, we should make a track and like pitch it together, 50-50 split. You got the studio and the everything, right? I got the talent, like believe in me. You have to sell that to someone. Why would they believe in you, dude? Why?
Yeah.
Why should I put up my studio and all my stuff and all my skills and all my talent? Like where are your numbers? That's why producers are always like, and labels are, let me see your Instagram. Let me see your numbers. What's in it for me, dude?
Yeah.
Nothing? Cool. Why would I do that? It's a charity.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful and you got to put your money where your mouth is and you got to be able and willing to invest your money, your time, and learn how to sell and learn how to convince and get a product done and work and manufacture and go and be consistent. Consistency is probably the number one thing.
Yeah. Should we lightning round this real quick?
Lightning round.
Okay, so
lightning
artists.
round.
Let's get to the basic facts. I've already said this on multiple podcasts.
The facts in our opinion.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
like
get to. I mean,
we'll call them the Radium facts.
Yeah, sure, the Radium facts. But this is just like basic shit. It's
right.
It's stuff we've said multiple times on the podcast, but I just want to recover it.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm calling it lightning round, because I don't want to like get super detailed. You have to get on a release schedule. You have to, have your audience understand when you're releasing. You have to train your audience, is what we call it. And so that means you're dropping consistently on certain days. This is something that even social media IG influencers do.
Right.
Lele Pons, for example, drops on Thursdays every single week, and she says sometimes it doesn't even matter if she drops a video or a piece of content on Saturdays. The numbers are so terrible compared to when she drops on Thursdays. That's because she's trained her audience to that day specifically.
Right.
And
hey,
this is
John Mayer too, he's doing it. He does a thing on Sundays where he just brings in fucking Diplo, brings in the homies, and they do like a live set.
Yeah.
On Sundays. He's just done that, and he's starting to do that more and more. So
yeah. So you have to audience train. So you have to get on a schedule.
Run it like it's a broadcast network television.
Yeah, your content. And I'm not just talking, I dropped a single once a month. You have to have micro content, macro content. Your macro content, your big picture stuff is your album.
Yep.
10 songs, whatever.
I break it down to like daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually. I think that's how you should schedule all your stuff.
Yeah, I said this I think before, but back when G was first starting, G-Eazy used to drop an album a year, and that was always on a cycle. You have to get on a cycle. You have to train your audience.
The touring would be on a cycle. Everything. Yeah.
You have to. So obviously, touring is great. I'm just starting at the base level where a lot of people aren't even in that position to tour. No. So. You have to start dropping consistently. You have to feed your audience, like Brad said. You have to identify your audience, and you have to focus those people.
Them, yeah.
You have to focus those people. You have to train them so they expect something every Thursday, and when you don't deliver, you're screwing up.
Take care of those people.
Or, like I said, so you have to establish what types of content you're going to do. If you're an artist, you have to, obviously, you're probably going to want to run an Instagram because a lot of your following is going to be on Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube. These are the biggest music platforms. Obviously, you have Spotify's in that, but those are all what I call aggregates, you know what I mean, of your content. The community is going to be on your Instagram, so you want to drop consistently however you can. You have to identify like what your audience reacts to. I think one thing that our friend Marty Grimes did really well, and he was on one of the podcasts, was Munchies with Marty Grimes.
Yeah.
And he would go into a random liquor store.
That was great. I love that piece of content.
But those are ideas of micro content. But as a brand, I think like you have to identify yours, and yours is going to be different from every other artist. So
work every release, push every release.
Yes,
as much as you can, even if you don't have a budget, push it.
Yeah, and so for example, one of our interns here, I talk to him almost daily about being on a schedule. Elevate. So he drops a song every month, and he has certain things he does for every drop. So those things are all scheduled out. If he does a visualizer with his song on YouTube, so you can play his song and there's video content with it, that is a part of his release schedule. So every month with that drop there, he has these things scheduled out. He has to get this done by that date so that he can make the drop by this point in time. Right. That's what I mean, getting on a schedule. You have to put everything on a spreadsheet and get your ass to work.
Yeah, just like you show up to your 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
right?
It's 9
a job
to 5
Surprise.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Weird. No, man, we just show up to the studio, get fucked up, and make music. That's the music industry.
Next thing, budgeting. I think this is like the hardest for people to do. A lot of artists, like they have one song and they spend all their money on it.
It's the worst, yeah.
And we've said this before on the podcast. It's about follow-up.
20 grand on my music video.
We said that. Brad said it already earlier. Consistency, follow-up. These ideas. It's about splitting budgets and if you have micro budgets, if you have literally $25 per release, like a lot of artists do
it.
You have to understand, okay, what can I spend money on and what I can't.
What's the best reach that I can get out of $25, right?
And then you start to realize, oh shit, maybe I need to start spending less on clothes because this is actually not growing my brand, even though it's feeding my ego.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe I need to pull together another $25,
Yeah, exactly. So it's about budgeting, figuring out what you can do over a long period of time, and that's important with identifying your income stream. If you working at McDonald's is paying for your music, how much can you set aside monthly so that you can follow the schedule? Yep. And it's coming up. And the next part, like we've already said, come up with a growth plan. That's the important part. And then after you've done all this stuff, that's why I call it the lightning round, because I'm talking hella fast. You'll start to see results. And when results start compounding, because that's how things work, That's why Brad said you could do it in a year if you did it right, because results compound. You know what I mean?
You get a little luck in there. You get the right connections, right network, people that believe in you, that want to join the team. I think also, like, just in closing, a lot of people, I won't say kids.
You've said kids already.
Right. A lot of people have this really big issue with having a job. And I really wish that that whole myth would go away, because a job is a fucking blessing. And if you really truly believe that your job is killing you and it's just over broke and all this bullshit that you've been fed your whole life, you'll never make it in music, because this is a fucking job.
Yeah.
And that's the facts. You can find Kevin at KDE Beats on IG.
You can find Bradley at Bradley HD. You can find Ziggy here. What's his IG?
At Ziggy_Bubbles. Isn't that funny?
And you can find us all at Radium_Media.
Nice, dude.
You dig?
We tried to do it all on 3.
We're done.
It's a wrap!